From the outside, room 217 looked like any other room in the care home, but inside, an old man was quietly fighting his last battle. He was sick, isolated, and surrounded by people who wanted his money more than his comfort. Everyone thought he was confused. Everyone thought he was too weak to fight back. But with the help of one nurse, he copied documents, wrote down every lie, and hid the truth in a worn-out gym bag. After he died, that bag reached the only person he trusted, and everything changed.
I am Sarah, 28. At my grandpa Henry's funeral, I caught a glimpse of my parents' vacation photos. They were drinking on a beach, posting, living it up, no flowers, no apologies. They chose cocktails over their own father's final days. 4 hours later, my phone pinged. A text from Henry's number, even though he'd been gone for days. Sarah, this is his nurse. Room 217 at Pinecrest. Get here now. Before they scrub everything. That nurse handed me a beat-up gym bag that would shatter my family's lies and turn their paradise into a nightmare. Before I reveal what was inside, hit subscribe if you love a good family drama. Drop a comment and tell me where you're rewatching from. I read them all. To see how dark this gets, we have to rewind to when I was 11, the day my parents decided I was dead weight. That's not my take, those were their exact words. Mom sat me at our kitchen table in Phoenix and said, Sarah, we re-splitting up. We aren't in a place to be parents. You re-moving in with Henry. A little while turned into 2 years. Then, silence. They stopped calling, visiting, or even pretending. Grandpa Henry lived in a quiet town in Oregon. The kind of place where neighbors still waved, and the hardware store smelled like pine and history. His house was a small bungalow, but his workshop was the heartbeat of the home, perfectly organized tools, the scent of fresh cedar, and his old radio playing classic rock. That workshop was my classroom. He taught me to measure twice, cut once, and drive a nail like a pro. By 16, I was building furniture, but more than that, he taught me a simple truth. Family is earned, not just blood. It's about who shows up. My parents skipped everything: graduations, license tests, college acceptances. Henry was front row for it all, camera in hand. Our Sunday ritual was sacred, every week at 10. I went over. He made pancakes from scratch. I brewed the coffee. We sat at that scratched wooden table, talking about life. That ritual held steady even after I got my own place and started my career as a high school teacher. We kept the routine until November of last year, that S when my parents resurfaced. An email popped up. Reconnection. Mom claimed they'd been through therapy, grown up and changed. They wanted to reconnect, especially with Henry since he was aging. I was skeptical. But Henry wanted to believe them. He was 79 and missed his son. How could he say no? I watched him meet them for coffee. He came home with such a hopeful look that I couldn't bear to crush it. For months they visited, handled errands, and played the part of the devoted, concerned children. But things shifted. Sundays became busy. Henry would text, I'm wiped out. Let's skip this week. Or Mom would chime in, Sarah, let him rest. We rehandling it. Focus on your teaching. By February, I'd missed 4 Sundays. When I pushed back, Mom got aggressive. He needs quiet. You get that right. I should seen the red flags. But I trusted that if Henry really needed me, he'd reach out. I never guessed they were blocking me. By June, I didn't even know where he was living. March 6th, 6:45 in the morning, my phone rang. A woman's voice, cool, professional. Is this Sarah? This is Brenda from Pinecrest Assisted Living. I am deeply sorry, but Vincent Harper passed away at 3:20 this morning. I was stunned. Pinecrest, he lived on Elm Street. There must be a mistake, I said. He has been with us since June, she replied gently. 8 months. He'd been in a facility for 8 months and nobody told me. My phone slipped from my numb fingers, cracking the screen as it hit the floor. Why was I kept in the dark? Our records state the family requested you be kept away unless he passed, she explained. Family? I was his only family. Except for the 2 vultures who crawled back 13 months ago. I couldn't speak. I just whispered, I'll be there. The next few hours were a blur of calls to the funeral home and work. My parents, voicemail, no texts, no replies. Finally, an email from Mom at 11, short and cold. Sarah, We re-devastated, we re-travelling and cannot make it back. The trip was booked months ago and is non-refundable. I read it again. No grief, no regret, just logistics and money. They were essentially saying their prepaid vacation was worth more than their father's funeral. I checked the dates. They booked their flight in February, the same week Henry was diagnosed with terminal lung cancer. They'd planned their escape 3 days after learning he was dying. March 7th, 2 in the afternoon, a small, rainy chapel. I paid for the simplest casket myself. Yellow tulips on top. 17 people showed up, neighbours, a few old co-workers, some church friends. People who actually cared. The front pew had reserved signs that I tore off myself. I stood up to give the eulogy, my hands trembling. I spoke about the workshop, the pancakes, and the man who taught me that showing up is everything. My voice broke when I said, family is about who shows up. I looked at that empty front pew. He showed up for me for years. I wish the people he raised had done the same. The service ended. Mrs. Chen from next door hugged me, sobbing. Old Pete pressed a $20 bill into my hand for flowers. I didn't have the heart to tell him I was broke. I sat in my car in the rain crying until a notification hit. I opened it. A photo of my parents on a sunny beach, drinks in hand, smiling wide. The caption read, "Enjoying life while we can, living our best life, no regrets." Posted at 2:15, 15 minutes into Grandpa's funeral. They knew the timing. I'd emailed them the details. They posted on purpose. I swiped through 6 photos. Parasailing, beach bars, snorkeling. A comment caught my eye. "You two deserve this," my mother replied. "Life is too precious to waste." I checked the location, Turks and Caicos. I pulled up flight records. They flew out February 28th. Booked the 22nd, the same day as my email, 3 days after his terminal diagnosis. My phone buzzed again at 6:10. A text from Grandpa S saved contact. My heart stopped. He'd been dead for 4 days. The message read, "Sarah, this is Patricia, a nurse at Oakwood Manor. Your grandfather gave me your number and made me promise to call if anything happened. He left something for you in room 217. Come tonight. Your parents fly back tomorrow to scrub his digital footprint." I overheard them planning to cover their tracks. Whatever your grandfather hid, they can find it. Please hurry before they wipe everything. Wiping tracks. My parents were hiding something huge, and Grandpa knew. I put the car in gear and punched the address into my GPS. 15 minutes away. I'd lived in this town forever and never heard of Oakwood. It was a 3-story brick building. The sign read, "Oakwood Manor, Compassionate Senior Care." The lot was mostly empty. Visiting hours were closing. I walked through the sliding doors, the sharp scent of antiseptic mixed with dinner. Fluorescent lights flickered. A young receptionist looked up. "Can I help you?" "I am here to see Patricia. She's expecting me." "I am Sarah." Recognition clicked. "You must be Sarah. Patricia said you'd come." Room 217, 2nd floor. The elevator was agonizingly slow. 1, 2, ding. The doors opened to blue walls and prints. Room 217 was at the end. The door stood open. A woman near 50 in scrubs waited by the window. She turned. "Sarah." I nodded. "I am Patricia." Her voice matched the text, warm but exhausted. She looked like she'd been crying. "I am so sorry about your grandfather. He was the kindest man." The room was stripped bare. The closet hung open. A chair sat by the window. I pictured Grandpa sitting there, waiting. "He talked about you every day," Patricia whispered. "Every morning he asked if you decalled, if you were finally coming." I was confused. "Your parents told staff you were banned." "What?" "They claimed you had mental health issues, that seeing you would upset him, and that a restraining order was coming." The director believed them. I believed them. Until 2 months ago when I found him crying. He held a photo of you, a young girl in a cap and gown. She pulled it from her pocket. My 8th grade graduation. Grandpa standing right there. Both of us grinning. I gave him that copy years ago. He kept it. "He told me everything," Patricia continued. "They told him you were too busy for him. Told you he needed rest and blocked your number so he could never reach you." My throat tightened. I couldn't breathe. "He made me promise to get this to you before your parents returned. She walked to a small closet and pulled out a worn olive canvas bag, an old army surplus tool bag. She placed it on the bed. He hid this under his pillow. Made me swear no one else would see. He said, "You do know what to do." I reached for the bag, my hands shaking. Patricia touched my arm. "One more thing. Your grandfather lived here 8 months. Your parents visited maybe 10 times. Always together. Always for less than an hour. They brought papers for him to sign. Bank forms, legal documents. He would ask me about them later. He didn't understand. He'd say, 'Why sell my house? Sarah loves that place.' Or 'Why is my savings empty?'" She stared at me. "I am a hospice nurse, not an attorney, but 2 decades in senior care makes it easy to spot the red flags. Financial exploitation, forced isolation. I tried to speak up, but your parents had everything sealed tight. Medical proxies, power of attorney, the works. He had stage 4 cancer," I told her. The words felt like shards of glass. He was diagnosed in January. They knew. They told his oncologist to drop aggressive treatment, claiming it was useless at his age. Did he even understand? Patricia's jaw tightened. I doubt it. He told me in February he felt weak. But they lied and called it routine testing. He never knew he was terminal. They kept him in the dark. The bag sat between us, heavy with secrets. "I am quitting," Patricia said. "Take your time. No one knows you were here." She paused. "Your grandfather was a saint. He deserved so much better. I am sorry I could not do more. But I can give you this. The truth." Then she left. Silence filled the room, save for the buzzing lights and a TV down the hall. I opened the bag. Papers, stacked with the same precision Grandpa used in his woodshop. On top was a document titled Durable Financial Power of Attorney, dated January 15th, 2025, 2 months after my folks moved back. The legal jargon was dense, but the goal was obvious. Vincent Harper handed full control to Clayton and Rebecca Anderson. My parents. Grandpa's signature looked shaky, nothing like his usual hand. I had seen him sign birthday cards and checks for years. This looked wrong, hesitant, like someone else had guided his pen. In the margin, in red ink, was Grandpa's neat handwriting. "They said this protects Clara from legal trouble if something happens to me," lawyer said, sign. "I do not understand all words. Trust Clayton knows best." I checked the notary stamp. The commission expired in November 2024. This paper was signed in January 2025, 2 months after the notary's license expired. Invalid. The stamp was void, which meant the entire document was likely worthless, and everything they did was criminal. I set it aside and grabbed the next stack. Bank records. First National Bank. Account ending in 8823. Grandpa S. savings, the one he started back in 1972. January 2025. Starting balance $318,000.64. A life of thrift. He never took vacations. He drove the same old truck for 15 years. He fixed his own leaks. February statement. 62,000 transferred out. Recipient. Anderson Family Trust. April 45,000. June 38,000. August 29,000. November 9,000. Final balance. November 2025, $183. In the margins, Grandpa wrote notes, questions, asked Clayton where money is going. He said, "Investments for your future. Dad, trust me. But the home costs $5,800 a month. Where is the rest?" On the April statement, he wrote, called bank. They said transfers were authorized by power of attorney. "I do not remember authorizing," asked Rebecca. She cried. Said I am forgetting things, getting confused. Maybe she is right. I wanted to scream. He was not confused. They were gaslighting him, stealing his life savings while making him doubt his own mind. Clipped to the statements was a printout. Anderson Family Trust activity. I scanned the expenses. Credit card debt payoff, $156,000. New car, $68,000. Luxury trips, $38,000. House renovations, $21,000. They drained his account to fund their lives, while telling him it was for his care. Next document, a reverse mortgage. The property at 523 Oak Avenue. Loan amount, $185,000. Dated March 18th. 2025. Purpose on the application. Medical bills and accessibility. Grandpa's note in the margin. They said this pays for a wheelchair ramp and medical equipment. Why would I need a loan? Clayton called it preventive care. I signed bank papers. Confused and lost. Then I found it a loan acceleration notice dated June 30th, 2025. The borrower had left the property. Per the contract, the full $185,000 was now due. He moved into the facility June 15th. 2 weeks later, the mortgage ballooned, forcing a sale, another document, a warranty deed from September 12th, 2025. 523 Oak Avenue sold to Heartland Residential Properties for $285,000. Seller, Vincent Harper, via Clayton Anderson's. Acting on that January power of attorney, proceeds were $285,000 minus the mortgage debt. Nearly $100,000 vanished into the Anderson Family Trust. My childhood home, the workshop, where Grandpa taught me everything, sold without him understanding, without me knowing, attached to the deed. The registration for Heartland Residential Properties. The registered agent, Rebecca Anderson. The business address was my parents' home. They sold his house to their own shell company. 3 weeks later, they sold it again to a real buyer for $312,000, a $27,000 profit. They bled that house dry. The mortgage cash, the sale, the flip. I did the math on a statement. Total loss, nearly $500,000 in 10 months. Then I saw the beneficiary form for his pension, the retirement fund he earned from 43 years as a union carpenter. Originally, it was me 100%. The new form from November 8th, 2025, named Rebecca Anderson instead. My name, crossed out, hers written in. Grandpa's signature looked shaky, uncertain. Underneath the form, a handwritten letter on notebook paper, dated November 10th. Sweetheart, if you read this, I failed you. They said you were too busy for estate matters. They told me Rebecca was simpler. I signed. I am sorry. I tried calling you. But the phone did not work. They claimed you changed your number. I should have known better. I am leaving this bag. It is all I have the truth. Do not let them win. I love you. The words were underlined 3 times. The pen had pressed so hard it tore the paper. I sat on that thin, uncomfortable bed and finally let myself break. Not the quiet crying from the car. This was the kind of grief that doubles you over, making sounds I did not know I could make, leaving me hollow. When I caught my breath, I reached for the last item, a blue, spiral-bound journal. June 2025. I opened the first page. Day 1. They brought me to Riverside Meadows. They said it is better for me. I asked about Clara. Rebecca claimed you were busy with work. I will see her soon. The room is tiny, but I watched the parking lot for your car. I turned the page. Day 3. I tried to call. The number does not work. They said you must have changed it. That is strange. You would have told me. Day 5. I asked a nurse for help. She said family requested no calls to prevent confusion. I am not confused. I just want to talk to my granddaughter. Day 8. Clayton visited. I asked about my house and my savings. He patted my hand and told me to rest. But I cannot rest. Something feels wrong. Page after page. The writing grew shakier. The confusion deepened, but underneath it all, a haunting clarity remained. He knew. Day 23. I overheard Rebecca on her phone. She said, "The old man keeps asking questions. Am I the old man? Why speak like that?" Day 35. I found a bank statement they missed. My savings account has $183 left. I had over $300,000. Where did it go? When I asked Clayton, he insisted I was misremembering, but I checked that account monthly for 50 years. Day 56. I miss Clara. It has been 8 weeks. She used to visit every Sunday for pancakes. I cannot remember the last time I had pancakes. I asked Rebecca to bring her. She got upset, said I was putting pressure on you, said you had a life of your own, that I needed to let you go. But I never held on, did I? The entries continued through summer and fall. The writing deteriorated, but the awareness stayed. Month 4, November. They changed the beneficiary on my pension. They said it was for taxes. I do not understand taxes, so I signed where they told me. But afterwards, I felt sick. That pension was meant for you. It is all I have left to leave. Day 201. December. Patricia told me I am sick, cancer. She asked if I knew. I said yes, though I was not sure. Did they tell me? I cannot remember. I am so tired, but I need to write this down for you before I lose it. The last entries were from March, days before he passed. March 1st, 2026. Patricia helped me copy these documents. They think I am too out of it to notice, but I notice everything. I am hiding these copies in this bag. Patricia promised to get this to you when I am gone. March 3rd. I am dying. They told me I have a week. I asked if they called you. They said yes. But they are lying. You would have come. You always came. That is how I know. I am leaving you the truth. I love you, sweetheart. I am sorry I could not protect you from them, but maybe the truth can. Do not let them win. You deserve better than what they did. The last page, written in pencil, was barely legible. Sunday. I miss pancakes. I miss Dad. I miss home. But I am ready. He was strong. He left me the truth. I clutched the canvas bag, hands trembling. Patricia said they were coming back Monday to scrub the digital trail. They did not know about his secret archives. Did not know he had spent months building a case against them. I packed it all up. Documents everywhere. By midnight, my living room was a crime scene. After gallons of coffee, I found a specialist, Marcus Thorne. 20 years in downtown Seattle. He handled elder financial abuse, a total shark. He destroyed predators. I called him at 9 sharp. His office was booked solid, no openings. I pushed hard. Exploitation. Terminally ill victim. Deceased. The receptionist hesitated, then checked again. Thorne would see me at 10. I spent Sunday sorting transfers and highlighting the rot. Monday, I walked into his office. He was 50-something, cold, watching me like a hawk. He spoke, in 20 years of elder law, I have seen plenty. This is the most damning case yet. He pointed at the files. The power of attorney was signed while your grandfather was clearly incapacitated. That notary stamp, expired, that alone could tank the document. Systematic theft, reverse mortgage fraud, a shell company they controlled. Total isolation. He looked at me. 2 paths, civil to get the money back or criminal. Criminal charges mean jail time for elder abuse. Can we do both? Yes. Win the cash, win the justice, the cost. A $15,000 retainer for the basics. Trial costs more, but they will settle. The evidence is airtight. I had $12,000, my entire safety net. I offered $11,000 now, the rest in 2 months. He nodded. Done. I signed immediately. By Wednesday, Marcus subpoenaed the care facility records. The proof arrived. First national security footage. February 18th, the day of the transfer. My folks dragged Grandpa into the lobby. He looked lost. Mom talked to the teller while Dad hovered, steering him. When the teller asked for confirmation, Grandpa looked at Mom. She nodded. He nodded back. Money moved. Marcus hired a forensic expert. The power of attorney signatures were flagged. The report was clear. Signs of duress. Guided or forced. 85% chance of coercion. IP logs tracked $96,000 to my mother's phone. His doctor left a statement. In December, she warned them. Vincent must not sign financial papers without legal counsel. She noted it in the chart. By January, there was no counsel, just my parents and a corrupt lawyer. By March 17th, Marcus had a massive file. This is the strongest case in years, he said. Motive, opportunity, proof. Your grandfather basically wrote the script. What now? I need to know. Should I go to the police? I pictured Grandpa fighting back for me. Yes, go to the cops. Thursday, March 12th. My phone buzzed while I was grading. A text from Marcus. The prosecutor is filing 5 counts. 2 for elder exploitation, theft, forgery, fraud. They are looking at 25 to 50 years. Warrants are being issued. I hid in the bathroom. Reading it twice. 50 years. They were only 52. If they serve even a fraction, they will be elderly when they walk out. Marcus said let the law work, but I needed 1 chance for them to confess. Thursday night, I called Mom. She answered. Relaxed, on vacation. Colleen. Honey, we feel terrible about missing the funeral. I need to talk about Grandpa S. estate. Of course. We will be back Saturday. Where is his money? Silence, 4 seconds. Sorry, his savings. Where is the money? Sweetheart, I don't know what you mean. We were just helping him. Helping by moving $318,000. Taking a reverse mortgage to fund your shell company. Silence, I heard beach waves. Still living off him. Colleen, Dad S. voice. I do not appreciate your tone. It was all legal. We acted in his interest. His interest. He died thinking I abandoned him while you bought cars. You have no idea. We provided support, authorized by a power of attorney with an expired stamp, signed without legal counsel. Silence. How do you know that? Mom S. voice. Sharp. Scared. I know everything. His statements, the deeds, the journal detailing how you isolated him, how you blocked my calls. That is not true. I have his journal. Mom. He documented everything. Every lie, every attempt to reach me, 8 months of entries. My father again. Careful making claims you cannot prove. I have proof. Bank footage. IP logs from your phone. Records showing you blocked his cancer treatment. Witness statements from his nurse. Patricia, she had no right. She had every right. He asked her to get the truth to me. I heard them whispering. Panic. Colleen. My mother S. voice shifted. Harder. You are grieving. Unfounded accusations carry legal consequences. Legal consequences. You want to talk about that. We are hanging up. We can discuss this when we get home. Good idea. My lawyer will be there, plus the district attorney filing 5 felony charges. Silence. Total silence. The ocean noise vanished. You hired an attorney. I did, and warrants for your arrest are being issued tomorrow. Enjoy your last trip for 25 years. I hung up. Minutes later, a cease and desist email arrived. My parents already had counsel. It threatened me for harassment. I forwarded it to Marcus. He replied instantly. Ignore it. Standard intimidation. They are panicking. Perfect. Friday morning, the smear campaign started. A blast to 15 family members. All from Mom. Subject. Concerned about Colleen. Body. Family. Colleen is struggling after Dad S. passing. She is making wild claims about his finances. We spoke to her doctors, and they think she is having a grief crisis. Please do not engage with her until she gets help. We love her. Please keep her in your prayers. By noon, I had 5 calls. Aunt Jennifer. Honey, are you okay? Your mother says you are not well. Cousin Beth checked in. My father S. brother warned me about these accusations. They were isolating me, just like they did to Grandpa. Then, the public Facebook post. Our family is in a hard place. Please pray for my daughter as she processes her grandfather S. death. 83 likes. 24 comments of support praying for your family. Stay strong, mental health matters. Just vague hints and lawyer speak. A stranger commented, families shouldn't involve attorneys, so sad. Saturday morning, Marcus called. They want guardianship. An emergency hearing is Wednesday. They claim you are shattered by grief and need a guardian. I laughed. I am 28, employed and pay my bills. It is just a move to drain my accounts and discredit me. It cost $8,000, but it will be tossed. Let them waste their cash. By Sunday, I was exhausted. The weekend was a blur of ignoring toxic messages. I drove by the old house. Different car. New curtains. I stared at the porch where Grandpa spent his summer nights. Someone else lives there. I wept. Not funeral tears, just hollow, pure loss. Wednesday, March 20th, the courthouse. My parents hired a shark. She pushed my frustrated emails as proof of instability. My mother lied, claiming I was erratic. Marcus countered with my perfect personnel files. Just a dedicated teacher. My Dr. S. letter confirmed I was healthy. Judge Sharon O'Brien listened for 30 minutes. She stopped them. I have heard enough. Miss Miller has a stable career and clean records. The only instability here comes from the petitioners, who are under investigation for fraud. Petition denied. She looked at my parents. I am ordering you to cover Miss. The legal bills hit $3,800. I sent it to the prosecutor for fraud. Mom went pale. We left. Marcus pulled me aside. It is working. The office has everything. Monday, March 23rd. Marcus called at lunch. The prosecutor filed 5 felonies: financial exploitation and grand theft. forgery and fraud. Warrants are out. Are your parents home? They just got back from the Caribbean. I think they are in. Perfect. They will be in cuffs soon. Wednesday, March 25th, 3:45 p.m. The airport. Marcus got the police report. Parents stepped off the plane, grinning. Detectives swarmed. You are under arrest for fraud and theft. Right in the terminal. Their grins died. Suitcases hit the floor. Got the call at 4:15. They are locked up. Thursday morning, I sat in court. They wore orange. Mom was bawling. Dad looked ready to kill. The judge read the charges: exploitation and grand theft. 10 years max per charge. 5 years each for forgery and fraud. They pled not guilty. Bail hit $50,000 each, $100,000 total, no passports. State limits. Frozen bank accounts. They could not touch a dime of the stolen cash. By 5, they paid bail with card advances. Their last scrap of money, free but trapped. Friday, March 27th. Preliminary hearing is May 15th. Marcus thinks they will take a deal. Their lawyer will approach the prosecutor. Best case. Guilty on exploitation. Drop the rest. Minimal time. Big fines. Worst case. 25 years and total ruin. Honestly, they pay back everything. $465,000 plus interest. They will be paying for decades. Saturday, March 28th. Mrs. Walsh, a lawyer, called. Your grandfather visited last July. He made secret arrangements, a trust. I saw her that afternoon. She handed me an envelope, Grandpa S. will. Dated July 23rd, 2025. I, Vincent Miller, sound of mind, leave everything to my granddaughter, Elena Miller, the house, the money, the insurance, everything, notarized. Grandpa was clear, the lawyer said. He knew his son and daughter-in-law were squeezing him. He wanted to protect me. They sold his home and drained his accounts, but this will change everything. Every move they made was fraud. We can claw back the sale and those transfers. It takes time, but it is mine again. I held the will. Grandpa's signature was rock solid. He knew in July they were robbing him. He protected me the only way he could. Sunday, March 29th. I made pancakes, set an empty plate, and kept the ritual. I whispered into the quiet room. I did it. Gramps, they will pay. Maybe not behind bars, but with their savings and their pride. It was Monday, March 30th, when Julian called. The prosecutor offered a plea deal, guilty on 2 counts, 5 years probation, no prison. But nearly $500,000 in restitution. No prison time, it's just the opening offer. The lawyer hasn't accepted yet. We could fight for jail, but the financial hit will crush them. $500,000, wages garnished for 26 years. I thought about Gramps building this case out of love. He wanted justice, but mostly he wanted me to have peace. Tuesday, March 31st, 3 weeks gone. I looked at my students' art and finally felt grounded. Normal life was still here. Phone buzzed. Julian again. The parents want the deal. Guilty. Probation. Restitution. The prosecutor needs my say. Prison. Watching them suffer. Destroying them like they did Gramps. No, not what he would want. He wanted truth, not revenge. I texted back. I trust the process. The plea is set. Probation and full repayment. I told them I'd be at the hearing. I drove to the old house on Miller Street. Kids were playing in the yard. Honestly, that was fine. It felt right. The fraud will be undone. I get the money, but I won't live there. Too many ghosts. A new family is better. Phone buzzed. A text from Sarah at the care home. She heard the news. She said, Gramps would be proud. I saved her number, thanking her for keeping her word. Drove to the nursing home, straight to room 217. A stranger lives there now. Standing in the hall, I whispered to the empty air. I finished it. Gramps, they can't hurt anyone else. And they can't take what you left me. Brenda stepped out with a sad smile. She knew I'd come back. She said he knew the truth, wherever he is. We stood there, tied by a man who fought for my future until the end. He trusted her with his secret. I thanked her for her kindness. With 20 years of nursing, she said he was unforgettable. She remembered the hope in his voice and his journals. He loved me deeply. He had to make sure I knew the truth. He never wavered in his love for me. The sun set as I drove home to grade papers and prep lessons. Life felt strange, yet calm. Reading his final entry, I knew he was right. It was finally finished. The legal win is coming, but the real victory is knowing his love never failed. He spent his final days fighting for me. They stole his inheritance, but not his spirit. My name is Elena. I am 28. 3 weeks ago, I buried him alone while my parents were on vacation. Today, they face ruin and criminal charges. The money will take years to recover and the house is gone, but I have something they can never touch. I have the truth. My grandfather left me a map. They thought they could silence an old man with failing memory, but they were dead wrong. He didn't need strength or status. He just needed the patience to leave a trail for the one person who loved him. That trail led here to the end of March, 2026. Legal fights are slow, but I am not stuck in that waiting room anymore. I am holding his journal, knowing we won this together. This isn't about revenge. It is about a love that outlives the grave. They tried to erase our years together. They failed. Sunday morning, I'll make pancakes again. I'll sit at my table and remember. They took everything else, but they couldn't touch this. Knowing I was loved for 17 years is worth more than $465,000. It is March 31st, 2026. A new chapter starts today. I am carrying Gramps forward through my lessons and the life I lead. This story ends with me moving forward instead of letting their betrayal poison my future. They tried to bury the truth with him, but he buried them with it instead. I am still here, still teaching, still moving forward. That is the real victory. My name is Elena, and I'm proud of who I am. I show up. I keep my word. They showed me what a family should never be. But Gramps showed me what it really means. I know which lesson I am keeping.